What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, and let's talk about it. Let's get through this because I really want to address this. This is the truth behind the beef between Kid and Play and Luke, or Two Live Crew. Let's put it that way. Because this is a beef that shocked everybody. I mean, it really did. It came out of left field. I mean, if you think about two people that shouldn't even be in the same room, you think Kid and Play and Luke. If there was ever two people that should never ever probably have met in life, those are the two people I think of. Kid and Play and Luke. Now, I remember when this went down. Now, when this happened, we were, I think it was, I'll say House Party 2 had just hit, and it was, and they were, Kid and Play was immediately going into another movie called Class Act. So in the midst of it, and in the middle of like all the things they were doing, the culture in hip hop was changing. When Kid and Play came in the game, the culture was like considered to be fun. They came in '88, and that big '88 craze, getting funky, and parents just don't understand. You had all of the fun elements of hip hop, but it was more centered around dance. You had people trying to educate you about the system, society, and you had fun. People were dancing and making dance records, and don't stand on the wall. Guys are telling you, hey man, don't stand on that wall. What you doing? No parking on the dance floor. This is what hip hop was really echoing. These were the things that were being implied to the younger generation. This was what was being basically implemented. So during this time, Kid and Play skyrocketed. All the positive rap was making like noise at that time. It was just like considered rap. Then NWA came in '88, and they were considered the bad guys or the anti-rap. Ice-T, those guys came out and doing what they're doing. So people in the South was already rapping in this type of form. They weren't in the play. There was no record companies out there in the South, so they was rapping like this, making house tapes. Because in the South, people want to hear people that sound like them and talk about things that they talk about. So they'll listen to the rap that's on TV, that's cool and all that, but they really didn't deal with that. They messed with the people that was rapping around their way. It was just nobody there really on mainstream media to care or basically give a damn. So when Two Live Crew was getting started, they were making records back in like the '80s, like '84, back when hip hop was starting to come up. But they was in Cali with the big black Chinese dude. Rest in peace to him. He was the one of the main founding members of the group. He came out there, Kid Fresh. I mean, what's his name? Fresh Kid Ice. That's his name, Fresh Kid Ice. And him and the DJ came out there, and they went from there to Florida, and that's when it blew up. When Luke Campbell got a hold of him. Back then, he went by the name Luke Skywalker. Then he got sued by George Lucas and had to change his name to Luke. Now, when Two Live Crew was coming up and Kid and Play hit up, they just skyrocketed from the first album on. Boom, they was on a plateau of being the leaders of the dance rap revolution. Michael Jordan had them at his house. That's how big they was. Then House Party just put them on the stratosphere. They doing NBA. They getting so many checks are coming in from everywhere. Sponsorship deals, everything. Kid and Play, Kid and Play, Kid and Play. Everybody's kids grew up off of Kid and Play at that time. You had kids back then, little kids, they grew up off Kid and Play. They was like, dang, Kid and Play. So what happened is that those kids that was growing up off Kid and Play, they had a cartoon. The Kid and Play cartoon kicked off. So much money is coming in. But now, this new era of hip hop is starting to take a wave. It's growing. You're hearing the Ghetto Boys. Now you're hearing Two Live Crew. And they were like, wait a minute, who is this? So down there he had Move Something. That was the first thing to really take off. So when Move Something came out, sorry, just took a swallow of water. When Move Something came out, it was an entirely different situation. It was brought in that Dr. Dre from, Yo MTV Raps, brought in that bass sound that he helped create, that Public Enemy drum, that Deep in Miami fell in love with that like 808 kick drum sound, man. They love that. So when they heard that drum, that it became the Miami sound, the Miami drum sound. And that's how they like it in the South. They like all that bass. They want to be able to play something when they ride because it's always hot. So down there, they got to play something, the car's always got to look nice. You got to ride around with your car and show off and bump your sounds. So this is what they gravitated to. So when Move Something came out, they was playing that riding in cars. But it wasn't until As Nasty as They Wanna Be came out, and they had to go fight in the government and federal court to get that, approved. That ban in the USA album and all that stuff, because he was banned. Basically, they're trying to put a censorship on music. They put the sticker on the album, but that wasn't enough. They felt like, nah, we gotta just ban the music, period. But the parents was gonna allow this to happen and let people hear it. So then it became an influx of people changing their lyrics. People who were positive, non-profanity using rappers was starting to make this change even in the East Coast. Now you got more, gangster dudes who was in the streets in New York. Now they using the terms, and now it's becoming infecting the popular culture of music. Of this is what the people want, the realness, and if you're not doing that, you're not being real. That started to echo. Oh well, you ain't cursing, man. You ain't being real. Yeah, y'all fake. So this is gonna affect business for all the people that don't rap this way. So when Kid and Play was doing an interview, Kid was really echoing and going in hard because they were filming House Party 2. But at the same time, while they filming House Party and they doing this movie role, they're saying we got to stop this right now because our careers is going to be through if we go down this road. Kid and Play is going to be done. because everybody now is, the crowds are getting less and less. So when House Party 2 was coming out, it was like, okay, this gonna kick everything right back off. So they're doing a promo and they're basically, and this is part of Herbie's decision, we gotta go after those rappers. We gotta go after those Luke Campbells and all this over gangsterizing the music. We need to make that a statement that we're gonna be the ones to face the nation. This is basically it. We the ones. Kid and Play is gonna be the ones to frontline that. So Herbie put them on that track. It's like, this is the direction of your album. This is your message to the people. We got to stop all the drug usage. We're gonna be, and this is the direction that sent Kid and Play into a war with 2 Live Crew. Cause he was like, yeah, you got guys who's got music videos and the girls are just basically stripping in the underwear and all this stuff here, and it's just like ridiculous. And they don't really have musical talent. They just got naked girls and they cursing in the songs. So once that was said, things went to a whole nother level. And when it went into a whole nother level, Luke heard it, and when his album came out, he addressed it about Kid and Play. Like, this dude, Kid and Play, talking and doing all this, because he was responding to the interview. So he made a little diss song dissing him. Luke did on one of his albums, a little skit. So once the skit comes out on Luke's album, and he's dissing Kid and Play. Kid and Play did a song. It was almost like how Jay did Takeover. They did the interview, put it in the magazine. They saw it. 2 Live Crew saw this interview. Next thing you know, it was like, oh, okay, so now they're creating a buzz for the album. And they got House Party 2 dropping right before the album comes out. The album comes out after the movie drops. So now on there they got this song called like No More Questions, or We're Taking Questions and all this stuff. And they basically dissing like Vanilla Ice. It's like, what is going on? Kid and Play are not really diss rappers. So next question, and everybody's asking questions on the album, and they just going down the line blasting, all these artists and basically blasting Luke. So at the time, Select Records had went out of business. They did a merger and they became Elektra Records basically. And they just didn't know how to market Kid and Play. Elektra was not really the major distribution label for them. So Select Records was very small, but Kid and Play was like the only rap group that was allowed to have that type of major label distribution from them. They allowed them to have that because they brought in so much. They needed an outside force to help them out. But Elektra just didn't know how to market them. So Face the Nation was like, it was lost. Ain't Gonna Hurt Nobody, that was on the movie soundtrack, that did really well. It was a hit single, but it didn't really make a hit for the album because that went out way off course. So Luke, on his next project, he got with Poison Clan and had those guys in there and brought in uh, JT and all the other guys in there, and they did their thing. He's like, y'all take care of it. And boy, did they go off on Kid and Play. Man, did they go off on Kid and Play. When that song came out, man, they didn't did it. They went ahead and took care of their Miami style. And the thing that got JT hot in the beginning is that Kid, when they first came out and did like Me So Horny, when they was doing Me So Horny, they were in New York. Had the girls on stage. They was in the clubs in New York, performing in small venues in New York. And Kid was in there, kicking it with them, shaking up with them, everything. So that's why they couldn't understand. Like, yo, y'all was about the women and all that stuff, hanging around and all that, and giving us all this fake love when we were there. And we had all the girls, and y'all, oh man, look at all these women y'all got. Then you get in an interview and you dissing them. So, yeah, it was they was on their high horse moment, and that's what the only plight was. It wasn't a bad shot by Kid and Play. They just didn't recognize everybody don't come from where you come from, and things change, things turn around, things move in different directions, but you got to understand where other people come from. You got to kind of put yourselves in their boat. Where they from, this is a everyday thing. So it might not fit your likings in the way society is. It might be bad for this and that. Yeah, you could say that, but to single them out, now without really knowing where they come from, plus you didn't dapped it up with these dudes, it kind of looked phony. So from that standpoint, man, JT and them got with him, and they was, man, they Miami passes was revoked. I mean revoked. So they basically just, man, they called Kid off his square one time, like, yo, man, what's up with them, man? He apologized, and he explained what he was talking about. But he was like, I shouldn't have singled y'all out like that, like. But they called Kid off his square like about a year later, year or two later. They squashed it. It wasn't no real beef where they had to mash him, but they just was like not gonna take any disrespect from nobody who was big time in the industry trying to talk down to them. They from Miami. They got pride. They down there. They gonna ride. But man, JT them cracked me up. Two house party movies, and every movie Kid getting his butt kicked. And two movies, ain't none of these dudes getting no. He's like, I watched that house party movie, and ain't none of these dudes getting no pussy. Two house parties for two house Negroes. Oh man. Oh man, this song is classic. It is a classic diss song. And man, you could say it finished their career because Kid and Play never made another album. It was over. So the winners were the Two Live Crew and Luke. I'm out. Don't forget to support the page. Hit the Cash App up. My name's Carcino on the Cash App. And definitely, if you want to, support the page and hit the Patreon up. Oh, yeah, it went down on the Patreon today. I was in rare form. I had to deal with Janelle Monet. Yeah, yeah, it had to go down. She got out of line. So, all the Patreons get to see how that transpired. And if you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button and definitely hit the bell, select all, and we out.